hello, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us for our part 2 of Love Day. Let me hear some claps out there. This is a celebration. This is a festival. We had a great morning session, and we talked really about the heart of the work. And I want to thank, and our entire team, we want to thank you for those of you that have been joining in via live stream on YouTube. We're going to upload this to YouTube as well. And I'm joined on screen with our Director of Capacity. We serve together on our capacity team. And so Sarah Ghetto. So Sarah, would you like to give a shout out to all of our viewers that are watching us on this second part?
Everybody.
We're just glad to be here, and we're also going to be joined with our CEO. She's gonna come on set here, and so we're glad to have her. I wish I had my little button where we have our little hand claps, and so we're here with Miss Angela. Let's give some hand claps. We're all here. This is the family. You understand? And so we're here. This is part 2. Now, we want to remind you, we are here to celebrate and to really let this entire community know that we are now really ribbon cutting this new location and facility for One Love Global. So what does this mean for you to be in this space as we kick off part 2?
It means that dreams deferred don't die.
Dreams deferred don't die. Yeah. I think that's powerful, because during this time there's so many people who have dreams, and maybe COVID, maybe they might feel like their dreams are derailed or not. But what was that journey like getting here from where we started?
Oh, it's been a long journey, and we had our beginnings here in Lansing, sharing space with the Greater Lansing Business Monthly. Chris Holman was my mentor for years. It was like, you can't prove it now, but he actually taught me how to hold a microphone. I was sent to do an interview with when Judy Brown Clark was being inducted into the MSU Hall of Fame. I was sent to interview her because I used to do a television show for WLAJ, and it was my first field interview.
Wow.
And I was interviewing him, and he literally taught me how to hold the microphone so I could conduct the interview, because I was brand spanking new.
Yeah.
And he became my mentor. And when we moved from Detroit to Lansing, he opened up his office. We used to be at 1 Michigan Avenue downtown. We were right in the heart of downtown in our beautiful office building. And I could, just pop downstairs and grab some lunch at Tropos. It was super fancy.
That is amazing, isn't it?
In our one little office, because it was just a desk
and
a shelf, and we didn't need much space.
That's
because
amazing.
Our work was out in the community. And we actually moved with Greater Lansing Business Monthly into a house on Seymour. And so the radio station, so when Chris launched Michigan Business Network, we were offered equity equals, and so we have had a radio show on a Michigan Business Network.
Yep.
And equity equals, so you can go there and check out our
equity equals.
Equity
Yep.
equals. And so Chris really helped us get our start here. He provided us with space, and it got to the point where our meetings at Seymour got so big that we had to start to branch out. And as more people got involved, and peace and prosperity grew from a few youth to a whole lot of youth, and we just outgrew the space, and we moved over to South Lansing. We said we want to be in community. We want to be where our people are. We want to come to you. Like, we don't want you to have to take the bus downtown.
Absolutely.
We want to come where you are. And so we moved to South Lansing. And so it's just been a steady progression of growth and responding to what our youth needed, because it's always been about them and them feeling at home and them feeling like they had a place, because we would meet all over and they didn't really have a home.
That's amazing.
So for this space is for our young people to have a place to call home.
I love it. And it's a community space, right? And so we're right on the corner of MLK and Holmes, 3525, right? South MLK. I memorized it. I got it in my heart. And so, as I'm coming from my heart, we want to say, listen, as we center the work on our youth, our local youth, and even around the state, we want to make sure that we give to our beloved community fund. Our goal today, through this entire Love Day, is really to raise $500,000 for racial equity and justice, to put in the hands of our youth to say, hey, how would you go about achieving and fighting against systemic racism and building new programs and new collaborations and all the things that we know that's absolutely needed. So on the screen we have where I want everybody to take out your phone wherever you are, and there's a QR code right on the screen, right above our heads, and you can give right from your phone. So this next section is really important. We've got some great partners. We've got Carol Simon. We've got Tejmika Torak. We have Tony from LEAP. We've got some great partners and community leaders and organizers. You're going to hear from them. This segment is entitled Racial Equity in Action. You're also going to hear from the One Love Global team. I mean, we're talking, these are some of the hardest working people I know. They work behind the scenes. They move mountains. And so they're going to be hitting the set. And really, what you've been able to build is really a youth machine, really, that just, it's amazing the team that, you've been able to assemble here at One Love Global. So again, the first part, what we're going to do, so take out your phone. You can continue to give. We're going to talk a little bit about TRHT. And just before Sarah kind of gives us a kickoff, we've got a video that we want you to watch.
America needs truth. Our people need healing. Our society needs transformation. But how? We've had commissions before, and we still have not learned the lessons of our past. This time will be different. This time, we will learn from the wisdom of our communities and engage in a national grassroots effort to write a new American story.
Ultimately, racism is a belief system. It's an ideology. It's a way of seeing the world. And it is the legacy of that belief system that we live with.
The work has already begun in small towns and city centers, meeting in libraries, churches, and on college campuses, from Alaska to Louisiana.
How do we get over our fixation on this absurd notion of racial hierarchy?
Since it was developed by nearly 200 experts in 2016, the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation framework has been used by dozens of communities across the country with the goal of uprooting the conscious and unconscious belief in a hierarchy of human value. To craft the framework for local TRHT commissions, we drew on the study of over 40 global examples of truth and reconciliation commissions. The framework is simple but powerful, and it works. Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation guides folks through a process of learning and unlearning that ultimately creates a new community history, one that doesn't hide the ugly truth and weaves the stories of all local peoples. Over years of experience, practitioners have learned that relationship building by stakeholders in the community is an essential ingredient to overcome divides. On this basis of healing through storytelling and understanding, community members collaboratively craft plans for creating transformational change to the laws, economic rules, and physical structures that keep us apart and unequal. Empowered by a national commission and fueled by grassroots energy, Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation will help usher in a new America that lives up to its highest ideals, where all of us can thrive.
So yeah, folks, that is our TRHT. That's national, and so right here in Lansing, One Love Global, we serve as the TRHT, one of many place leads for TRHT Metro Lansing. And so, Sarah, I'm gonna like interview you. Sarah and I we work together, and in co-leading this effort. But we have a great group of community leaders and folks from around Metro Lansing who are part of TRHT Metro Lansing. And so, Sarah, when you think about TRHT Metro Lansing, what's one of the things that really, kind of stick out to you about, our group and our family?
Thanks, Monica. I think most of all that it's a space where everyone is welcomed to gather. We really come together around the shared value of love, and I love this video because it captures the heart of TRHT, which is rooted in history, it's rooted in movement, it's rooted in grassroots organizing. And it's all about people coming together around that and around wanting to uproot these beliefs in hierarchy. We all have that shared care to bring about change. So we come from across different aspects of the community, whether it's in the government sector, whether it's in the legal sector, health, just people that care about our neighbors and want to be organizing together and working together and drawing closer to each other. So I think that's the most important and special part about our TRHT family.
Yeah, so when we think about, TRHT and what it stands for, again, think about this: truth, racial healing, and transformation, right? TRHT. And so there's a framework. So TRHT, we are a community, but it is a process on how we dismantle systematic racism. And let's talk a little bit about the framework, right? So one of the pillars of the framework is what we would call narrative change. There are all kinds of false narratives in the marketplace in our society around black and brown and Latinx are just all these false narratives. And so what does that look like when we talk about narrative change? When we say narrative change, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, so that is number one on the top of this framework. And it's the T in truth, racial healing, and transformation. So that T is all about the narrative change piece. So that includes recognizing our history. As the video was talking about, we have to tell the truth of what our history actually is, and recognizing that a lot of times we're taught history in a very whitewashed, white lens way, because we are the folks that have had access to the history books and have been able to define school curriculum and how we learn. So what we learn in school is often very white lens and doesn't get at the truth of how hierarchy has played out in our history. So we have to really be intentional about unpacking that. And we also have to be intentional about ensuring that the narratives that we share, the stories we tell, are diverse and representative of unique experiences, people's lived experiences, not just believing that there are only certain experiences and that others are not existent. So part of that is making sure that, again, history is being taught, is in part of our curriculum, it's in part of our conversations, but also making sure those stories, those diverse stories, are in our media, they're in our communications with one another. All aspects of how we are in communication with each other needs to transform and be truthful about people's experiences.
Yeah, and I think and that's beautiful. We look at the T and the R and the HT. The one letter that I think if you pull that out, you wouldn't have the same kind of process is healing, right? And so yeah, I've been to I've participated in the healing circles, and at first I was like, oh, I don't want to do that, you know what I mean? To be honest about it, but there was something there when you sit with those who want to go deep and who want to do the reflective work and want to move forward, and it was highly beneficial. I want to bring on, and I want you to talk a little bit about like our healing circles and we want to give a shout out to our healing practitioners, right? And so I want to bring on Shawnee Saxon right now, Saxon Saxon. I want to bring on Shawnee Saxon. she is enjoying Love Day to the point where she just barely missed the cue to hit the stage. Hey, Shawty, what's going on? What's happening? You see what I'm saying? She just jumped on set and was like, oh, what's going on?
Having a whole conversation about orange juice just now. It really wasn't, y'all.
Oh my God. That's exactly what Love Day is about. We can talk about OJ, we can talk about all kind of stuff. And so healing is a very important aspect of, the work that we do.
Yes.
And so I wanted to introduce you. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and the work you do and how that all really flows into racial equity?
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Shawnee Saxon, and by trade, I'm a social worker, a psychotherapist, and I really just help people deal with their emotions and their behaviors and all of that stuff. I am also the director of healing for One Love Global, so I am here to offer my services, to serve, to be of service to my community, because this is my community. I was born and raised in Lansing, and I am committed to making sure that the people in Lansing are having their their needs met.
That's powerful. One of the things they were talking about was after, just the impact of COVID, on the globe, that there would be such an increase in, mental health, needs and services. And so can you talk a little bit about that? And I'm going to pass it back to Sarah to talk about specifically like the healing practitioners and healing circles, right? So can you kind of just talk to our audience about, how important this is?
Absolutely. The pandemic has really kind of introduced a level of stress that we have not even been prepared for. This is history. So we weren't prepared for it. And mentally, people who are struggling with their anxiety and depression and dealing with social injustices and racism, it has been overwhelming. And at this point, we are dealing with people who are experiencing levels of anxiety that we've never, ever experienced. And it is causing a disruption in their ability to just function, their daily activities of living, their relationships, their raising their children. I don't know about you all, but having children in the home and having virtual school is stressful, and having to work and having to be isolated is stressful. And for people who live by themselves, or for our aging population, for our young people, it is extremely stressful. So we have to make sure that we are honoring and helping out as much as we can, because this pandemic, as much as we want it to be gone, it's not. And so we have to make sure that we are securing everyone's mental health, and we're making sure that everyone is thriving to the very best of their ability until we can get back out into society.
Yeah, I was talking to Shawnee yesterday, and I was saying it feels like you're standing under a constant waterfall. And we always we think about a waterfall. It's refreshing, it's beautiful, but when you're involved in this work on a daily basis, it's like, there's a lot of pressure there, because you don't ever feel like you get a break. Every day there's some type of injustice, multiple, right? And just when you think there's a break, okay, we got a break, there's another shooting, there's another this, there's another that. And we're still fighting old systems. So, what are some tips that, you can kind of give us that would just kind of help us bring ourselves back to center, right?
Oh, for sure. The thing about it is, as a clinician, I am noticing, I'm a Black clinician, so not only am I dealing with this vicarious trauma of what's happening in our society, I'm also trying to help my clients to deal with it. So, obviously, I always go to my tried and true, love yoga. I think it's great mindfulness, which is really great. But the reality is we have to connect and center ourselves as much as we absolutely can. And there are just so many tools out there. There is no one tool for everyone. You really have to kind of figure out what works for you. But I really encourage, anyone who's going through any type of stress, or, just having any type of like physical issues around being depressed or dealing with racism or trying to process it, to dig deep, try to figure out ways that you can exercise or relax, build community. That's one of the reasons why we're here right now in this community, is we are a communal organization. So we really need to make sure that we're doing that. Exercise, take walks, have conversations, journal, do meditation, prayer, however how whatever makes sense for you, but making sure that you're moving your bodies and that you're having conversations, but more importantly, don't isolate yourself. Just make sure that you're reaching out, you know, and if it's not to someone that you know, that you trust, that's what I'm here for. You know, we have organizations that can absolutely, you know, you can reach out to us, and there we can always make sure that we can come and meet with you virtually and sometimes face to face.
That's amazing. And so I want to say, based upon what Shawnee just shared with us, if you're listening to us and you are having you want more, like you need services, you just want to talk to someone, right? You want other tips. We want you to reach out to One Love Global, right? We want to help you make those connections within the community, get what you need, right? And so part of that in the work that we're talking is healing. And that's what really excites me, is because you can't help others if you're constantly hurting yourself, right?
It's true.
It's very difficult. So
Very
Sarah,
true.
can you tell us, like, what are, in the TRHT world, talk a little bit about healing circles and
Hi,
why that's a
Sarah.
part of it.
Hi, Sierra.
Hello, Shawnee. I miss you. I miss you. Y'all, Shawnee is one of my mentors. She supported me as a social work student, and I can attest, I always say, Shawnee would ask us every time we talk, what are you doing to take care of yourself? And so I always think of you and try to be intentional about asking other people that question, because I so needed to hear that and appreciated that. But yes, racial healing is the center of the TRHT process and such an important part of what we do. And it's even like why we're here today, why we're celebrating Love Day. We are bombarded with in the struggle. It is so much. We have lost so many people. There is just so much to do. And we need to be really intentional about gathering and loving on each other and in healing relationships and celebrating. So that's why we wanted to have Love Day. And it's, we don't want to wait for things to start feeling better, because we don't know when that's going to be. So we need to be loving in the moment. But our healing circles are a huge part of the TRHT process and part of One Love Global too. And what that looks like is it's a process that was created by Dr. Gail Christopher, who I mentioned earlier as the visionary behind the TRHT process. And she was incredibly intentional about creating this approach and rooted in Indigenous practices of storytelling and being an intentional, deep listening and relational communication with each other. So there's spaces where people come together and share their stories. The healing practitioners, I have to echo Mordecai and give a huge shout out to the practitioners. They are a wonderful group, a very intentional, loving and caring group who hold these healing circle spaces. And they put a lot of care into the prompts that we shape the space with, so that we're often introducing questions that encourage people in the circle to dig deep within themselves and process things that we often don't in our day-to-day life, which is why it's so powerful. And why, like Mordecai said, I hear that all the time of people going into circles being like, I don't know, like, is this going to be weird? Is it going to be mushy? Is it going to be scary? And coming out of it feeling that deep sense of connection and having learned more about yourself as well as other people. So it's a really incredible process. And our practitioners are all volunteers as well. And we become practitioners by engaging in the process. We are huge advocates of learning by doing at One Love Global. And that's what we bring to this process as well.
And we have narrative change. We've got our healing circles, but we also look at where racism plays out in our economy, right? Areas of colonization that still exists within our community. And so we want to say, if you are out there listening to us and you want to get involved in the work of racial equity and justice and healing and building relationships, right? Then listen, you can go to our website and email us. Sign up for our newsletter, and we're having in the month of May a TRHT new members orientation. And so we want to thank you for being a part. I'm gonna try to get Shiny to come back and actually lead us in an exercise. You know what I mean? If
It
it's
would be my pleasure.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a musical break. I'm bringing back Angela and Aislinn. We're bringing back Carol Simon, Tajamika Torok, and Erica and Michael Lynn. We got a whole family here, and so we want to just take a break here and have and feature one of our Michigan artists.
It's the fabric of our eternity. Can you see it? Isn't it awesome how it exists beyond space and time, everywhere and nowhere? Like, you know where our thoughts rest as they manifest? Hiding while being overstated. To say defining defines an understatement. The divine composition of blankets that defy described gravity, confined to what's considered reality and still somehow forced to compete with the moon. Unknown as the dawn, but attuned probably because the weight of it. How vast and abundant, so volatile and undisclosed, it has to be terrifying, knowing that it truly exists outside of what man controls, outside of all the strength that gives the weight that it holds. It has to be hard to be a star-spangled in the midst of the black body. Burning for what seems to be eternity until death and rebirth without certainty, forced to burn hot just to be alive, just to exist under the pressure of our black bodies. But our eyes don't notice, not trained to focus that every inch of perspective is covered in stars. Every perspective presented possesses something so dense, all the time in the blink of an eye, unnoticed, unknown to those who follow the signs of the locust while providing the pretense of heaven, becoming black bodies. So heavy that sometimes they give into gravity and fall from the sky, fills the depths of our waters, returns life despite derelict in the theft of our flowers. What a wonderful power. Can you feel it? In an ounce of it, all the time pronouncing it more than a man or mouse in its paradigm that would ignore like the soul it splits if you can grasp the whole of it, of your black body. How much of time is inscribed in this quantum mechanics? In the alignment of planets in your mind, you can balance times and scales with true gallant if you can collect the pieces that complete you. Become so massive where your light won't escape, where your life defines space. It's unexplainable to those who have never seen it. Those who have been lucky enough to experience it, to feel it, are fixed to become part of it, to become one with the heart of it, but still unexplainable to the bodies that are apart from it. Do you see your part in it? It's a beautiful sight when you see it. A sight broad as being. As broad as the universe itself, the true composition of our black bodies.
Hey there, welcome back. So we're going to get into talking about the Lansing Racial Equity Scorecard. My name is Aislinn Langley. I'm an AmeriCorps serving with One More Global this year. So Angela can talk a little bit about the origins of how we're getting this project started and why we wanted to make this for Lansing.
I would love to bore you with my love for data. Data science just excites me, y'all. I want you to get excited about it too. The whole concept of the racial equity scorecard actually started quite a few years ago. So One More Global is the convener for My Brother's Keeper in Lansing as well as statewide. And one of the principles of My Brother's Keeper is results-based accountability. And one of the things that we have been advocating for really for the past decade is to disaggregate the data in our community so that we can actually see where racial inequity is showing up across systems, and also to know when we're actually moving the needle. Are the things that we're actually investing money and resources and time in actually moving the needle? Because we can do a lot of things that look really good, but actually don't transform people's lives. And we actually want that transformation, and we want to be able to measure the results. So the Racial Equity Scorecard is a chance to really identify what it is that we want to measure in our community. And we have Aislinn, who has just taken this project and given it life
And so I will let her talk to you about what she's been working on to make this dream a reality. We have quite a few data nerds here at One Love Global, but one thing I think is really cool about the Racial Equity Scorecard is that it has sort of a built-in feature to not only have, the data and the graphs and the numbers itself, but also, drop-down menus where you can learn more and find additional resources and get, the context for, the data and the numbers that we see, so that moving forward, we can add places for partners, and hopefully as we build out, we'll be able to make more and more partnerships and collaborations, so that, as One Love Global, we're sort of holding that space and holding that data all in one location for everyone to find. But can be coming in from various places, and we make it accessible, we make it usable. And so for our launch, which is coming up in May, so keep an eye out, we're really focusing on youth outcomes, and then we'll be building out more and more as more partnerships become available. But it's been really important to make sure we're looking at measurements that the community's interested in, and not just looking at what data we can for data's sake. So, we've been talking to our community members and our youth to see what's important to them. One of the things that comes up a lot in talking to our youth in Lansing is, they say that their teachers don't look like them. And so it's important to, try to change teacher demographics to look like the student body. So that's just one of the measures we're looking at, as well as, youth employment. We're gonna be talking about, economic opportunity later this afternoon some more. And also, homelessness, graduation rates, just things that affect young people's lives. And so, we're getting the data, we're getting some more information, and we're gonna have it all in one place.
I am so excited for this. This has really been a long time coming. One of the challenges that kept coming up in our community is who's actually gonna hold it? Who's gonna be responsible for making sure that we're updating the data? Who's gonna make sure it's democratized so that people can actually access it and understand it? And who's gonna pay for it? It always comes down to the money. And thankfully, we actually, and thanks to you, beloved community people, this fund actually allows us to build it and then to sustain it. And it's really important for this data to live in community and to actually reflect the values of community. And Aislinn, I'm so glad that you lifted up that our youth actually set our priorities for us. And we want to track the things that actually impact their lives. And we desire to create a scorecard so that all of our institutions and partners can actually see the impact of their work and where there's the opportunity for growth.
Yep, so you can see on your screen we've got this beautiful QR code back online. And so we're actually going to be having a donation challenge in a few minutes here to get excited for, so we can keep raising money for the beloved community fund. But first we'd love to introduce Carol Seaman, our Ingham County Prosecutor.
Hi, Carol. Hello. I was just saying that this is the first time I've seen you in person in over a year, so it's wonderful. So
It's so good to see you. We've certainly hung out on Facebook quite a bit, social media. We keep it going. But I'm so glad that you're here with us today and that you've been a part of TRHT. It seems like forever now, and you really helped us by being willing to take a deep dive. I'll just share this for people that don't know you. One of the things that you were really clear about early on is that the meetings are great and the learning is great, but I'm about action. I'm in a position that I can do something. What is it that needs to be done? And you have not missed a beat.
well, thank you, because it's incredibly frustrating and exciting time. Certainly when we started working on this, when I joined in late 2016, I think it officially rolled out in 2017, right when I took office. I ran for election. I never envisioned myself being an elected official. I'd been an assistant prosecutor, and the seat is swinging around here. I'm going to land in your lap.
It's a little wiggly. I got you.
So, I grew up I was born and raised in Lansing, graduated from Eastern High School, and have a deep commitment. But I think one of the most important things is seeing where things have gone wrong. And when I was part of the prosecution criminal justice system back in the 80s and 90s, I saw a lot what was going wrong. And I didn't know what to do, which is one reason why I left prosecution and had a variety of jobs with the state and with policy organizations to look at overarching issues of racism and equity and child welfare and juvenile justice and criminal justice systems. And now I'm facing this way. But I'm going to just lock my foot onto this. But so when I ran for election, it was kind of I made the decision very quickly because my predecessor was arrested, and that threw everything into a crisis mode. And I knew that I wanted a progressive in the office. And at some point I realized that that was probably me. So when I ran, I didn't know that there was a progressive prosecutors movement because it literally was just starting that year, 2016, with Kim Foxx in Chicago and a few others. When I was actually elected, the things I'd been talking about doing, which is really looking at criminal justice system in a more holistic way and acknowledging that unless you address poverty issues, childhood development issues, all the things that are problematic, that you never have justice. You may have what Patrick Sharkey called an uneasy peace. You have a police state where people are safe, but it's safe because of militarization, and that's not what we want. So I came in knowing that we wanted community and that I wanted my coworkers to be exposed to a lot of new information that wasn't not traditional for prosecutors. So that's when Angela, came in almost right away in 2017, and we started our training on implicit bias. So we started off with the very disconcerting things when you do your own bias inventory through the Harvard bias test, implicit bias, and then also an organizational self-assessment. So the upshot was, we suck, because everybody does. We're all part of these inherently racist systems, and even though individuals who are involved in them are trying to do good things, unless we really see where we're starting from and what those issues are, we're not going to really transform them. So over my little over 4 years, I've been working on a variety of initiatives that we know are problematic because we see national data, we just know our problems. And so in my first 4 years, I was able to reduce prison incarcerations by 18%. But what was really noteworthy was that we discovered that the proportion of people going to prison was the same. In a county that is about 14% black, 40% of people going to prison were black. And even though we reduced the overall commitments to prison, we still were maintaining that disproportionate percentage or proportion of 40. I'm really bad with that kind of language, rates, means, methods, all that. At any rate, it was still bad. It's still problematic. So I'd been working, Angela and I have been strategizing for a long time about how to get permanence in data collection and having a home for it. We explored a few things. And then finally, after about 2 years of begging, I was able to get, I'm ending up in your lap again. I was able, I love you, it's love day. I was able to get the Vera Institute of Justice agreed to work with us providing technical assistance. And that is for a program called Reshaping Prosecution, which has been around for a little while, and they pick about 3 new jurisdictions a year. And that was in early 2020. Right after that, they started a brand new program that was really more focused on the race equity issue, because realizing, like I had found, that even if you reduce incarceration, if you don't specifically address the racial disproportionality and equities, that you're still continuing the overall problems. So I won't go on forever, I could. But we're working with the Vera Institute. We're doing a deeper dive in data, which hopefully we're going to get soon. It's really tedious, as you know. We'll share what we get when we get it. We're also working with the new prosecutor of Washtenaw County, Ellie Savitt, who is working with the ACLU, and so we're a partner with that also on data issues. We're also we wrote for a grant to the Department of Justice to hopefully support data analysis and investigation, evaluation for the Advanced Peace Initiative, because that's an important part of the component. So that's some of it.
It's a lot. That's a lot that's happened in a short amount of time, but I think it's really important for people to understand what an upgrade in our prosecutor's office has really meant to our community and the different kind of conversations that we had. Because there is a time when your predecessor would say, well, black youth are 20% of the community of youth, over 70% of the arrests, and he would look at that data and say, we're only convicting. Like our conviction rate is only 40%, so something is not right. Our number should look closer to the police's. So
yeah.
it was like the complete opposite paradigm, not looking like how we can disrupt the cycle. How do we interrupt it? How do we actually dismantle the school to prison pipeline? And really understand the various elements and stages of the process from the first contact with the officer, and how disproportionality and racial inequity exists at every point of the process. And it actually gets worse.
It does. In fact, my first real experience with that was I was on the state's Committee on Juvenile Justice Committee, appointed by Governor Engler, no less, for 6 years in the late 80s into the 90s. And that's the first time I really start to see the data and the contact points and the fact of how juveniles would get dragged deeper into the system. So that pertains to adults too, but often it does start at juveniles. So we looked at, I came in wanting to look at things like school to prison pipeline, also looking at what we need to do in the community that is chosen by the community, because so often it is people like me who are elected officials who don't live in the particular community at risk, to say what do you need? What needs to be done here? Instead of presuming that we know what the answer is. I do know that I right away came in and did some things like, for example, said no juvenile gets transferred to adult court without my explicit approval. Because that's one real tangible, quick area I thought that can make a difference.
And since then, we now know juveniles are being confined in adult facilities. And that's something that we worked on for years as part of a huge coalition across the state. And so we know that when people actually come together and listen to the directly impacted communities, that we have far better solutions. And I just really appreciate that you dreamed with us. And I still have this crazy dream that prosecutors can actually have a tool to conduct a racial equity analysis at every stage of the process. And your team, I think I learned more from them than they learned from me, because I came into it with law and order, like, so you all can shoot that bail down. And I'm like, oh, we don't do that here.
Yeah, we
so
don't.
really understanding how the process works was something that was really valuable to us, so that when we think about what transformation looks like, it has to be rooted in the reality of the system and not some fictional narrative that we get all the time that glorifies policing, that glorifies conviction and incarceration. And so, like, for us to be able to unpack that and to understand that these are real people's lives, that there are families involved, and that the impact of having that one encounter can actually destroy somebody's life for the long term.
And I think, seeing that Sean wants us to move on pretty quickly, but I do want to say a couple things quickly, and that is, I've been working on different policy changes since I took office. For example, not waiving juveniles to adult court. I also had the two, juvenile life without parole cases resentenced. Looking at how resisting and obstructing is charged in our community, and because after some bad things that happened, and unfortunately bad things often are teachers. But certainly coming out of the very sharp divides that have been seen with COVID, really seeing that all the fragmented pieces of our society are even more fragmented. The healthcare, the criminal justice system. I agree with Shante. Was that Shante? When said that, sorry, after I said don't mispronounce my name. I laugh at myself though. But that it's even more dramatic now. And so in that opportunity, we say, well, let's really keep on shaking it up. It's shaking up already. Let's shake it just a little more and then do something really different. So there'll be some policies that I've been talking about with the community and continuing to, also talking with fellow prosecutors, talked with the Boston DA's office yesterday, reviewing Denver's recent research on prosecutorial racial inequities. They have looked at different parts of the system. So there's a lot to do, but I think the message is that there's a lot we can do. And we're not always going to be on the same page. Angela and I are going to butt heads, or Mike Lynn and I, or anyone, and I. But we're, I think, all trying to focus on the right thing, and that's to have a safe and thriving community in which we can live that's really a positive, safe place for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carol. And next, Thank you, Carol, who's been a part of TRHT, as you said, as you just heard, for a few years. So our pillars for TRHT: law, economy. How do we move beyond separation? And for us, how does education actually create a through line? And how do we build and change narrative and build the kind of relationships that allow us to transform systems? And so what we're talking about with our partnerships is the relationships that we've built and how, through getting to know one another better and fully appreciating one another's work and the challenges that we face in that work, we can actually come up with better solutions together. And I'm excited that over the past year, we've had a chance to be in deep conversation with LEAP, our local economic area partnership. And we have Tony Willis joining us here today. And Tony, we're so glad that you could join us so that we could bring this conversation into the community and that people can actually learn and understand the kind of work that we actually really are trying to do together to transform our community. So please share what you do at LEAP and your vision, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, thanks, Angela. Hear me okay? I'm coming through all right? Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so happy Love Day to you, first and foremost, with this, and allow me to partake and share some information. So my name is Tony Willis. I'm with the Lansing Economic Area Partnership, which is the economic development organization for the region, focused on Ingham, Eaton, Clinton County, as well as the city of Lansing specifically. My role is a Chief Equity Development Officer. I've been with LEAP for about 7.5 years now, held multiple roles of leadership. This is just the next leg of that. And what economic development means to us as an organization, it boils down to prosperity and opportunity for people. At the end of the day, that's what makes a economic vital and compelling area, is prosperity and opportunities and pathways to opportunities. That's opportunities to a new job, education, ways to build wealth, opportunities to start a business. Those are type of areas that we see that we envision and we look at as economic development. Dollars and investments are always the common, measures we see across the board. But we look beyond that. It's just not what type of, how many jobs are bringing to the community, but what type of jobs are bringing to the community. What are the pays of those jobs? Are they living wages? Is it the talent pool? Are those jobs we bring in here have actual employment and retention plans or attraction plans to look at local talent here and have pathways to get those talent in the door and allow them opportunities to grow and thrive? So we have measures of that internally. So about our goal for economic development is to create a realm in an area where prosperity and opportunities grow. We know that historically, Black people have been left out of holding and getting to bear and take the fruit of said prosperity in that space. We're being more intentional this year than ever before by the creation of our new department, creation of new programs and new partnerships throughout. And that's what we're going to do and what we are doing.
That you are in the role that you're in. And I'm excited about the conversations that we've been having, not just about economic development, but about economic justice. And in your capacity, in your role, really looking through a racial equity lens, like thinking about what economic development looks like in our region through that racial equity lens, and what justice looks like, and how more of us can be involved in the creation of wealth, not just for ourselves, but for our region. One of the things that we learned through My Brother's Keeper and studying the data is that our region at the time, 1.19 billion, not million, billion. 1.19 billion was how much money we were leaving on the table in GDP by not closing the income equity gap. So when you talk about a living wage, who is it? We call them essential workers, but do we treat people like they're essential? Do we pay them like they're essential? And so going deeper into what economic justice actually looks like, who it benefits, who it serves, like these are the conversations that I've been really excited to have with you and with the people that you have actually brought from the community who are boots on the ground in the neighborhoods, downtown, all over, holding these really creative and exciting pieces of what economic development can look like. So will you tell us more about how you have been supporting what I would consider grassroots entrepreneurs and micro businesses to actually hit that trajectory?
Absolutely, Angela. First of all, I'm glad to have you part of that group, that roundtable there. One of those roundtables we have, those conversations, because it's really about getting, when I say grassroots, making sure that the communities know what's already available. That's first and foremost, the awareness, because a lot of folks just don't know what programs are available, because we know that some institutions don't do a good job of broadening their community and broadening their constituents base. So we're trying to be very as intentional as possible and sharing information that we have and creating partnerships where those open communications are established so the community knows that they can have access to LEAP in that space. Furthermore, so it's not just being aware, it's also then changing the current programs to make sure that they are accessible to said communities, especially Black and Brown people, making sure that we are having certain measures and understandings and ways that people are being considered for funding sources or mentorship or programs that we're designing or even retooling programs that are in existence right now to actually meet the needs of said populations I just mentioned. And so we've done a lot of work in that regards, in that space. When it comes to economic justice, and then I'll kind of go into some more programs here, but I love, economic justice to me and personally in this space is to really right the wrongs that systemic and historic racism has wrought into the Black experience in America. And that allows Black people to have access. And you mentioned not just wealth for the individual, but wealth for the community, correct? And that's where I want to see this grow in that space. Because at the end of the day, money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy and support the machine that will allow things to flourish and make a better community grow with that. And so that's why we make sure that Black individuals and Black and Brown people are able to generate money through business, through ventures, through investment. And that's where it's important in that space as well for me. And especially I look at long term, even our region itself, is that how can we have, as a community, especially in Black and Brown groups, establish industries that we have majority in. That's something that historically we were left out of, since slavery, everything else. When it comes to agriculture, Black people were brought here for a set purpose of labor, but right now we only represent, 4 to 6% of all agricultural farms, and majority of Black people were brought here for that main purpose. But through historic reasons and systemic racism, we all know about the Black migrations to the north, and beyond that has left us very not in that realm at all. And then there's a lot of other budding new areas where I think that we can carve out, really in the Lansing region, can carve out a niche where the Black community and Brown community and our talent can really thrive and grow in those new industries. So that's where I see economic justice playing its part, is creating that type of playing field for we can actually flourish and have the opportunity to build wealth, employ our own, and scale and beyond. Some of the programs that we developed to help with that was the One and All program. We developed it in 2019, kicked it off in 2020. It's a program that is really the only eligibility is you have to be at or below the ALICE threshold, which is the Asset Limited Income Constrained Employee threshold. And unfortunately, around 40% of Michiganders total are at or below ALICE, and that number goes up to 60% for Black families. So there's a high, and that means, what ALICE really means, for lack of a better term, is the working poor. People use that term. You have a job, but you can't make all your basic needs each month, right? Something has to give, right? So you can get food, car, gas, might not be able to get medicine this month. Something you're always shuffling the deck to take over something else that way, or you're that one life situation away from slipping further down to near the poverty line. So, right. And so we created a program that really focused on education, understanding the basics of business, mentorship, because we know it's not just what you know, it's who you know, and having somebody guide you in their practice, opening their network to that individual as well. And then the financial capital. So we give out grants of $2,500 to all of our graduates of One All. Out of the 2 cohorts we had, our third one starts up in 2 weeks, I believe. But out of the two cohorts, I believe 70% of the cohorts are Black. I think 64% are women in that space as well. So it's really trying to fit the need and the gap in the community. Another program we developed, which came out of the pandemic through the research from the PPP program, we're doing a pilot of this, starts next week. It's called Level Up. We know that Black and brown businesses were disenfranchised or received disproportionately less money than they should have when it came to the PPP program. And that was based on two reasons. One being historically underbanked, and there's a reason why Black and brown people are historically underbanked, because of predatory lending and being taken advantage of by a number of large financial institutions in the past. So that's the bad taste, more like self-perseverance, really. So that's one reason. The other reason, the program discredited, the PPP program at that time discredited DBAs and single member firms, which between Black and brown businesses is, I think, 84 and 78% representatively. So those two things led to the disproportionately of not having the funds there. As well, when it comes to the overall level of sophistication within some of those businesses, is having the correct accounting mechanisms in place. So we created a program called Level Up, specifically for Black and brown businesses to address that need. We're doing the pilot starts next week, which we have 14 or 15 entrepreneurs going through that to really, one, convert those DBAs to LLCs, not just for that, but also for the other benefits that comes across, creating an accounting system, a chain of custody agreements, securing a financial relationship with an institution, a bank or a credit union, and to have that in place so that we can have access to more funding that comes down the line in the future. So our goal is to really see the inequities that are happening and the inequities that are happening throughout the community and throughout the region and the nation as a whole. And how can we create systems and programs to address those and put people, especially Black people, in the best path forward to actually have a chance to grow and stay alive.
Thank you so much, Tony. So you hear that, One Love Global Family and Partners, LLCs. Independent.
Yes.
Let's get it together. I'm really grateful for you sharing the great work that LEAP is doing and that you are leading in particular, because what you described is economic development that doesn't look like gentrification, and I am here for it. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you, Angela.
And so you're gonna see somebody next who you see me with all the time. This won't be new to you. So in addition to being my brother, my family, my sister, my family, and our neighbors here, the Village Lansing, just a few doors down, most of you know, and for those of you who don't, I'm co-founder of our Black Lives Matter chapter here in Lansing, as well as BLM Michigan. And news to most of you is that I'm also the Director of Operations and Policy for Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is our global formation of chapters. So I get to see the inner workings and the hard work of so many community. And because I have taken on more, I needed great leadership who could work with me and partner, and Mike Lynn said yes. Mike Lynn said yes to co-leading Black Lives Matter Lansing because the Village Lansing wasn't enough. America 20 to Life wasn't enough. He needed more to do. And so we're just gonna talk about all of the ways that we come together as a family, and we wanna know, what is the Village Lansing? I think most people see you on America 20 to Life, but you're here holding it down in our community with your doors open for anybody and everybody. So what is that like? Why did you create this?
So the Village Lansing was really created out of my own experiences as a young man trying to navigate all these traps that have been set up for us. And as I've gone along, I started to see other young people fall into those traps. So there was a murder that happened over at Ferris Park on the west side. And after that, it was like a string of shootings amongst young kids. And after that situation, I just got fed up and was like, I got to do something. Like I had originally had like an in with the kids because I coached. So I coached football and, you know, just kind of stayed around the kids that like that from that process. And then when my son went off to college, I didn't have that angle to be able to talk to them and kick with them anymore. But I realized how much influence we had with the young people as coaches and just being around them. So I put a call out to the neighborhood, to the brothers that I've been seeing actually doing this work in the neighborhood, and just asked them to come along and let's see what we could do in the neighborhoods and really just get out here with the kids. So, we started having meetings, started talking through the processes of what we need to do, figured out that, to get access to young people, you got to go to where they are and step into the environment they into, which we all understand. I ain't too far out of that environment. Me and my son is only 18 years apart, so I mean, I can kind of understand, what they're going through and kind of fell through those same traps. So that's what we did, and we started off by doing barbecue fellowship barbecues in the parks, just all the major parks where the kids gather. Flag football, basketball, just cooking and kicking it and fellowshipping with them. And then COVID happened. And so, the parks wasn't available to us anymore so much, and it was like, what are we gonna do? And so the idea came like, let's put a resource center together, a building where we can make this thing happen at. And in God's grace, it popped off. We had good community help and funding. Obviously Angela stepped in and made it solid and official. So we were able to build the building that we got down here, which is hoping to open up completely next month. So we'll be in coalition that we are, but also in the same building, so we can walk back and forth and chop it up, which I love that environment. So that's just generally what it was, where it started at, and then I'll let my wife Erica talk more about. She's the director, so I'll let her talk more about where we are today.
Yeah, so I guess to talk about the Resource Center, we opened somewhat during COVID, and I think the idea really was just to make the Village Lansing a place where kids could come. We wanted it to be a space where they had all the nice things. They've got, computers, there's internet access, there's people that are going to love them, care about them, support them, and just, it's a place where they know if they come there, they're going to learn something, they're going to be supported, they're going to be empowered, they're going to be cared for. And the whole idea of the village is it takes a village. So we're so blessed to be around and in coalition with people like Angela, One Love Global, Firecracker Foundation, Pastor Holland. Like, we have all these people around us and these organizations around us, and that's kind of what I think about with the village, is if we can't provide it, we know someone that can. So it's like this strong network of people and organizations whose main goal is to empower these kids to know and understand that they are beautiful, they are grand, they are powerful. That's really just what the village is about, and we needed a space to do it. And so that's what the Resource Center is. And he said next month, but it's June is what we're looking for. We want to actually open the doors in June, so fingers crossed there.
Thank you so much. And it's a beautiful space. If you haven't visited yet, you'll have a chance to. It is gorgeous, dopest mural on the block.
Yes, courtesy of Jose Moore from All of the Above Hip Hop Academy. We have 2 murals in there, so you got to take a look at those. They're amazing, and again, we have so many great people around us. Like I said, we're just really hoping that we can get the kids in there and focus on, just empowering them. I think Lansing needs that right now, and we're just really blessed to have Angela in our corner.
I got to shout out our program real quick, if you don't mind. So what we do actually have running right now is 2A21, which we are getting all new 21-year-olds who turned 21 in 2021 licensed for the CPL, and that's a concealed pistol license. And what we found through conversation with multiple sources is that a lot of these young people are going out and buying firearms because it's a part of the culture, right? These kids like these type of things. So they'll go out and purchase firearms, and then they're riding around with these guns without having that little certificate that says that they have the right to own it. And if they get pulled over with it, they're getting felony charges for CCW. So again, the traps that I fell into, or I found other people in my life fell into, and once you catch a felony, one begets the next. And things that kids do that aren't illegal before they get on probation or have a felony become illegal. And so then you have this issue of just this repetitive cycle at a young age where they catch this. So we've been doing this program now for, I believe, 2 months. And as of now, we've put, I think, 30 21-year-olds through the program. And that's 30 kids that will not catch a CCW. So that's something that I'm very proud of. The education that they get while they're in that classroom is 8 hours of mentorship, but also to learning about gun safety. We implemented a new program called Stop the Bleed as well. So they're able to be their own first responder. Like if they're out in the middle of wherever they live and a gunshot wound happens to somebody, they're learning how to bandage that, tourniquet it, so the person doesn't bleed out. A lot of people don't understand how long it takes fire to get to a scene. They have to make sure the scene is safe. So somebody could be there with a gunshot wound that wouldn't be deadly otherwise if we could immediately get there. But because it takes 20 minutes for a fire department to get there, they're bleeding out. So these are just things that, again, when I'm watching how the narrative in the city is and what's going on, how can we affect change immediately, not have to run through the bureaucracy of everything. So the 2821 is that program, and you guys can find that program at theadvocates.net or thevillagelansing.org. You can find that there. So.
And you can find the Village Lansing at 3525 South Martin Luther King Jr., just right up the road from One Love Global.
Yep. Sweet G. So look, gold G on the door.
G for great.
Yep. Thank y'all.
I love y'all. Thank
love
you,
you too, sis. Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. All right.
And another member of our family, come on, join us, Taj. Come on, before they take off. The Love family. So this is Lansing for Black Lives. So we came together and created a coalition called Lansing for Black Lives because we know we can't do anything alone. Mordecai, come on, Lansing for Black Lives. So One Love Global, Village Lansing, Black Lives Matter Lansing, Firecracker Foundation, Liberation PAC. Kids Turning Corners, yes, Shani, yes. We are all coming together because we have common goals, common agendas, and it is about loving our youth and loving our community. And we know that no one of us can do it all. So the way that we build power and have a deeper impact is by doing it together. So Lansing for Black Lives, I love y'all, family. Love you. Yay!
L4BL.
Hello, my healing, loving friend. Hello. My fierce firecracker.
Hello.
It's been a long time since last night when we were holding one another and you were consoling me over my spilled Coke. Oh. Thank you for talking me through that. I appreciate you.
But let's not minimize how hard your work is and how sometimes that spilled Coke is the straw in this life that we are seeing the death of Black and brown people every day, and the powers that be are responding with no attention or accountability. So
and
it's not
often
just
more
one,
violence.
and often mostly more violence. So it's not one Diet Pepsi. I almost called it a Dr. Pepper. Who drinks that? It's never one Diet Pepsi.
No,
it never is.
No, and I just appreciate you and the work that you do at the Firecracker Foundation so much, which is, I think, so much deeper than people realize, and how much of yourself you bring into every aspect of the work, and how you remind us to care for ourselves and to care for one another in ways that challenge us. And I call it radical love because it's about transforming. So I would just love for you to share with people, because you don't already know Tashmika and the Firecracker Foundation, but for the two of you who haven't heard, tell us about Firecracker.
There's at least five. I love the way that you describe it, because really it is about the only way that we will ever end child sexual abuse will be because of our love and care for one another. It will be because we choose that children are sacred and that they deserve respect and autonomy, and that we as adults who have experienced sexual violence will do our work to heal ourselves and give space for children to be liberated and be free of violence and harm from both ourselves and the state. Fighting the state-sanctioned violence is fighting for an end of sexual violence, because police cause sexual violence. These institutional spaces, mental health facilities, hospitals, there are spaces where sexual violence lives, where we consider that the propaganda is that there's spaces of safety. And that's just not true for a lot of Black and brown people and other historically marginalized communities. So I think that really rooted in that is that radical love for children and for adults who deserve to be healed and whole and protected, and that we don't lie. You know, if there is a space where harm is happening, then we confront it, and we are fear-facing, as Adrienne Marie Brown says, and we don't turn our back on it. So we provide some of your traditional support, like mental health therapy and trauma-sensitive yoga, and we do Title IX advocacy support work. So if you're experiencing sexual or gender-based violence on campus, you can call us and we will walk you through the process. We have a healing engagement program for Black girls, and right now, actually, we have a mutual aid fund for Black girls where you can register for, you can apply for, I use the word application, but we believe that Black girls will tell us what they need. So if you put your name and your address, we send you $100 because we know that you are in the crosshairs of both racism and the economic injustices caused by the state and COVID-19. So you can find that on our Facebook page. I'll be posting that in a minute because we actually haven't released the application publicly. We've shared it with our partners, but we will be going public with that later today. So I thought this was a brilliant opportunity to be able to bring that here. So
I love it. Premiere. Yes. Yes, girls, get these resources. Get these resources. They're here for you.
Yeah.
From love. Like, this is love for you to be self-determined and for you to decide how to use those resources and just to know that you're loved. And I just appreciate you so much for creating that fund for them.
Yeah, it was through a grant from Grant Makers for Girls of Color. And it's, you know, it's either a Kroger or a Meijer gift card for $100. So if you need to pick up your prescriptions, if you need to get shoes for your kids, if you need to get groceries, if you need to get gas, that's your $100 that we can provide now. And then, of course, people who are interested in donating, because mutual aid has to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. And that means the community can give as well to make sure that Black girls can ask for what they need and be met with care. And so, oh, and we also have a perinatal advocacy program, which of course, I always am like, what else do we do? Which provides reproductive justice work, so access to a doula, access to birth chat classes and parenting classes for our young girls of color and parenting people of color who, parenting is hard, who might need some support and access to resources. So, you know, check out our Facebook page, sign up for those classes with our midwife. You know, let's learn how to take care of our kids, because that's also prevention.
It is prevention.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best prevention, because we know that police do not keep us safe.
No, we have to do it. It's our job, and it only happens in community, and we belong to one another. So if we belong to one another, then guess what? We have to invest in one another, and that doesn't just mean money. That means we have to radically love one another, and we have to turn towards one another so that we can resolve the issues that are coming up within our community.
We keep us safe.
We keep us safe.
We keep us safe by caring about each other,
Mm-hmm.
by having people to reach out to so that we have alternatives, people
right.
that will actually show up and take care of us and help us get to a safe place, and who won't criminalize us.
That's right.
Because of our pain, because of our trauma.
And our vulnerability. Mm-hmm.
So I am just so appreciative of you. And what I heard today is that children are whole human beings, self-determined, absolutely worthy of love, sacred, and they're not waiting for us to tell them who they are and to shape their beings. We're here to protect.
That's right.
And
We're
to
here
love.
to be good elders.
To be good elders and good ancestors.
That's right. Yes, that's right. So I love you, and thank you for all that you have created, and thank you for allowing me to be in this space that you have cultivated. I appreciate you on Love Day.
I love you on Love Day, and we've got some pretty cool things that we're working on that we will share with you at another time.
That's right.
Mystery. Dream with us. Dream with us for healing.
Yes.
Dream with us for real accountability.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So we're back, and we want you all. What an amazing community we have, and leaders in this community. And I want to thank Kara Seaman and Tajmika Torok and Erica Michael Lynn. I want to thank them for coming through and sharing. Listen, please go to their website and support them. If you want to give to the Beloved Community Fund that will continue the work of racial equity, we have it right on the screen. You can donate online via your phone, and there's a QR code right there. Just take out your phone, and we want to make sure that this work continues in our state and even in our locality here, right here in Metro Lansing. So when we talk about the Beloved Community Fund, it is for the continuation of the work. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have our fundraiser, and we're going to give away $10 gift cards.
10 for 10.
10 for 10.
10 for 10.
And so we want you to get ready now. We got an exercise for you. And so I'm here with Flo Alexander. Can you tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do here at One Love Global?
Sure. Hey everybody, my name is Florence Alexander. I'm a program director here at One Love Global. I'm from Saginaw, Michigan.
Saginaw.
Whoop whoop. Also, is this Sag Nasty?
That's funny.
I'm a recent-ish graduate of the U of M School of Social Work.
Go green.
Oh. Go blue. Go blue. Spartans won't. Spartans won't.
Oh,
don't get mad at me, internet.
Oh no, that's too late. We got a fight going on. It's a fight going.
It go blue.
So what's going on with this? How do I get my $10? I need to make me some money here. How do I do
$10?
How do I get my gift card?
All right, so we have like the Black Historical Landmarks Challenge, and we found 10 locations over Michigan that represent certain symbols within the Black community that were really important within the Great Migration and us settling here to escape Southern racial terror. Although we recognize that racial terror exists worldwide and it exists in the North as well.
All right, so here they are.
So I'm gonna name a few. The Sojourner Truth Monument, Malcolm X's house, Trinity AME Church, Idlewild, and the Burwood 8 Mile Wall. And then the last 5 is the Charles Wright Museum, the Motown Museum, the Octagon House, the Stevie Wonder Marker. Ooh, I almost gave one away.
You sure did.
I was getting too excited. And then the WGPR TV studio.
All right, so what do I need to do? I need to put so you're going to flash a picture, and then I need to put what it is. Help me out, because I want to make sure I get this right so I can get my gift card.
Yuppers. You almost got it right.
So what do I do?
You got it 90% right.
Okay.
So a picture is going to flash. In the comment section, you're going to guess the location and or the place. And then if you get it right, that's how you get the $10 gift card. But keep in mind, people, you can't win more than one gift card, okay?
So I can only win one.
You can only win one.
What's our first picture? All right. So that looks familiar to me. And so you need to put in the comment section where that particular statue is located in the state of Michigan. Where is it? And you need to know, what is it? Who does it represent?
Yeah, who is it?
Yeah, very familiar. Very familiar.
You want to know a secret fact?
Yeah, please.
Not so secret.
What is it?
That she spent her last years in Michigan.
Wow.
As a freedom fighter. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Was there never mind, I won't give that away either. Someone got it. All right.
Someone got it?
All right, so someone already got it. We got the first $10 gift card. All right, what is this? This is the next one. Where is this located, and what is this? Where is this located, and what is this particular building? What is the name? She gave you 10. So what is the name, and where is this Black historical landmarker?
Should I give the AME hint?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So one hint for y'all is it's an AME church, which AME stands for African Methodist Episcopalian.
And yeah, and so the AME Church was way back started, like the first, black organized religious group started by Richard Allen and Absalom Jones. And so if you don't know who Richard Allen and Absalom Jones, you can Google them and read about their amazing stand against racial inequity, white supremacy, and racism. So what's the next picture? What is this? What am I looking at here? Where is this located? Don't tell me.
Don't tell you.
So what am I supposed to do with this one?
So with this one, there's a lot of hints in this photo. But one hint is that he is a well-regarded civil rights activist. We've listened to many of his speeches, hopefully read some of his books, as he has given us perspective, and he's lived in a lot of places across the United States.
Yep.
But this one's in Michigan.
Michigan. So I need to put in where this is, right?
Where and who it is.
Where and who. That's awesome. Okay. So we got the timer going. Where and who. What's this one? You like this one?
I do like this. It became a beautiful work of art, but originally it was constructed during segregation to separate the black neighborhoods from the white neighborhoods.
That's deep.
So redlining at its worst.
Wow. So I need to know where that is, right?
You gotta know where it is.
Where it is. So
what's it called?
So all of you teachers out there, listen. I mean, talk it over with the students, and get your gift card. Anybody get it online? Let's go to the next one.
Ooh.
That's pretty.
It's so beautiful, especially in the summertime, because you can see all the flags within the space. I was about to give it away. I got to hold myself back. But we want y'all to tell us, where is this, and what is this called?
Oh. Now, if you don't know this one, listen, you got to do some research on this one. Where is this? Now, literally, like, this is in Michigan, right? This is in Michigan. So I'm looking at, looks like a shore or something like that. Is that water out there? Is that
that's water. Yeah.
It looks like a beach or something like that, a shore.
It was way back in the day, so it's in black and white.
It's in black and white. So we need to know. We want you to tell us in the comment section, where is this located? What is it too? And you need to know a little bit of the story behind this location, because I think there's some things like are currently happening right at this location as well.
Oh wow.
And what does this location represent for the black community? In Michigan, and black wealth and economic wealth, and I mean everything that we talk about around racial equity, this picture embodies.
So this picture simply embodies black joy during a time where we weren't able to go to beaches just because they believed our skin contaminated the water. Right? So this place is actually known as the Black Mecca. This was the place that allowed black people to vacation, to have food, to stay in the hotels, to take care of them. It's a little bit up north. Hint, hint. Oh, gosh, I did that. Oh, I did that.
You kind of gave us.
I did the hint, hint.
Yeah, you gave the hint, hint. All right, so what's the next picture? Oh, this is a famous person.
Very famous.
That we all know, and we need you to tell us where this historical landmarker is located and who this landmarker represents. Where and who. Do we have another one?
It make you want to sing a song, don't it?
Yeah, I want to sing, but I'm not going to do it, because if I sing the song, then the live stream would mess up, and then we would not be able to further the live stream. So we want to continue the live stream.
Gotcha.
But listen, Flo is a performer. She plays piano and she sings.
Oh, no.
So I want to throw her under the bus right here live.
You just did. You just did.
She plays and she sings and she's an artist. So I want you to know, when we get done, we're going to come back at the end of the day and we're going to have her sing for us. Cool? All right, next picture.
This is called, ooh. Actually, I'm gonna give the name away.
Okay.
It's because this one's a hard one. So I'm gonna give the name away. I want y'all to tell me where it is. This is called the Octagon House, and this house purpose was to safeguard Black folks around the time of the Underground Railroad, because there were central locations within Michigan that people hosted up our folks for safety, to enter more economic prosperity, although we know there's some issues there, but that's what this represents. We want y'all to tell us where this is. And maybe if you have any more facts about it, drop it in the chat too.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Is this our last picture?
No.
We got how many more we got?
One.
Okay, let's roll. 10 for 10.
So, it kind of tells you where it is in the photo. So
what is it?
It's a Black radio station.
We're trying to look. She's giving you the answer. You gave the location.
I said the location was in the photo, but I didn't say the location.
Oh my goodness, she's giving the store away, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, come on, we're trying to have a contest. So listen, you got to give a little bit more detail in the comment section around this particular picture if you want your. Was it $100 gift card?
$100.
Okay, $10. It's $10. I thought maybe it was $100. I thought I heard $100 for this picture. I thought I heard $100. But let's go to the last picture.
Okay.
Oh.
So y'all have first person to guess this. You better hurry up. I don't even need to put context to this because everybody know.
Everybody.
It is generation to generation. Make you feel good. Play it when you get you're having fun. How you disco ball.
We got a disco ball back here. You
do
can't
have a
see it,
disco ball.
but it's moving kind of. You can see it on the wall. Now, while you all are continuing this challenge, we're now going to close this section out with brief presentations from our One Love Global team. And I'm going to ask Jordan if she would come and take my spot. And her and Flo can talk a little bit about what they do here. And then we're going to bring in Regine and some of our other team members. And we're going to end this section. This has been about racial equity in action, the work, helping and presenting the work to you all. So I'm going to ask Jordan if Jordan would come and give us a little bit about our LPAC. And Flo, you can kind of start us off, and Angela's right here. Okay?
Okay.
You can.
You have the disco lights on you.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm back here. I guess I never moved with Flo and
hey everybody, it's Jordan here. And Angela.
And so we're going to talk to y'all about the Michigan Breathe Act, Liberation Pact, and Michigan for Black Lives. As y'all have already learned about Lansing for Black Lives, we're going to go a little deeper about why these programs and initiatives are important, but also why do we need a Michigan Breathe Act?
Absolutely. And I think I might start off by asking us all collectively the question of what is Liberation PAC? What's the vision for Liberation PAC? Why does it exist? We were talking as we were prepping, why did we need a separate organization to do some of this critical work? And so I can hand the mic backwards if you want to talk a little bit, Angela, or Flo, you can take it away.
Okay, I can take it. All right, so Liberation PAC is our C4, and it's our Black political home. It's where we want to talk about envisioning and being social architects of the world we want to create. A better world written into policy that favors the name liberation.
Absolutely.
It favors self-sustaining governance, community governance. mutual aid. Because we know that we got to create things for us, by us, as we've seen through the generations of living here in America. So Liberation Pact was created for that purpose. And through Liberation Pact, we were able to create Black the Vote, which Black the Vote, y'all see my pins here? I got to show y'all my pins. Hold on. I got to show you my pins. Right here. The swag.
If you came here today, you probably got some.
Yeah, you got a lot of Black the Vote pins, but Black the Vote was created a little over a year and a half ago through the Movement for Black Lives, which I was a fellow, and a part of it was connecting Afro-artivism to policy, to fun, and making it accessible from babies to elders, and breaking down policy and talking about the political candidates, what they stand for, and who would represent us best, whose policies would represent us best. And so we did this through, I was about to say scorecards. It's something like scorecards, but we did this through ranked choice voting, which was a really, really cool way of people being able to match the policy and go through it and say, hey, like, yeah, like universal health care, like all these things should be, I mean, all of these things are human rights, but we capitalize on, or, you know, the bureaucracies and the institutions capitalize on things that should be civil rights for everybody, things that everyone needs, clean water, a home to live in. Why is there homelessness when we have plenty of buildings to house the people? Why do we have inflated housing rates when we can push those housing rates down, pushing people out of the community? I mean, we're recreating another system of redlining. And so a part of Liberation Pact, Black the Vote, Breathe Act, Michigan for Black Lives, is to combat white supremacy, to dismantle it, so that we have a future. There are Black people, there are Black folks in the future. And there is equity and equality in that future too.
Yeah.
So basic rights are human rights.
Absolutely, and that's why Liberation PAC exists. It is the vehicle, the container for us to do the policy action work that the 501c3 side can't do, and it is grounded in our youth, our Black youth, their visions for the future. That's the policy we want to uplift and support on the Liberation PAC side of things. And that's also where Breathe comes in. Breathe is a visionary, it's a beautiful bill, or act, I should say. There are many different parts to it. It starts with divesting from policing and pairs that with investing in new community structures that actually serve the community and come from work that's happening at the Firecracker Foundation, that's happening at the Village Lansing, that's happening here at One Love Global. It's investing in the things that we know work for all of us and keep us safe, and doing the narrative change work, even that's in TRHT, pushing back on narratives that are held about policing and keeping us safe and whatnot. And this, you can actually read the entire language of the act if you want to online, but it is over 100 pages, so you may not be interested in that if you're not as into policy as some of us are.
But it's amazing, 100 pages.
But it is amazing, and so we encourage you, take out your phone right now and go ahead and scan the QR codes on your screen, because this is where you can champion this legislation, this future legislation, in not only at the federal level, right? But we are building this for Michigan. It is spearheaded by Michigan for Black Lives. You saw the leaders congregate on the screen just a minute ago. And you can also, so you can become a champion of this, and your organization can become a champion of this too. So at the Michigan level and at the Lansing level too, because that's really what's happening in the People's Assembly spaces as well.
And you know what's cool about the Breathe Act, Jordan?
Tell me, Flo. Tell me about it.
It's a love letter. It's a love letter of extraordinary political bills that break down the political landscape
on Love Day.
On Love Day,
yeah.
of what our future can be. And you know, another thing is when I think about the Breathe Act, I think of this quote from Audre Lorde, which is, "You cannot solve a problem you cannot name." And this act and all of it's 100 pages. All of it's a beautiful 100 pages.
That's right.
That everybody should read. We got homework for y'all. That's your homework.
Or just scan the QR code if you want.
Is
I
it
want to take the easier route.
Yeah, that's true. It names the problems, but it names the solutions, and it names the solutions by hundreds of people and organizations through the ecosystems, the Movement for Black Lives ecosystems that have came together to create this, because we know we need this.
Yeah.
We need this for our kids, our children, everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rooted in economic and education and environmental justice. And so if you're a fan of these things, you really should scan the QR code and become a sponsor, become a champion.
Yes.
I don't know if we want to pull up Regine and talk a little bit about electoral justice, but
Okay.
yeah. Hello. Can you hear us, Regine?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am in the car right now. Hopefully, my audio is okay.
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay, great. Oh no, I'm sorry, Jordan. Your audio went out on my end. Could you please repeat that?
Sure, absolutely. I'll say it again. Just walk us through a little bit of your electoral justice work and why that's so important for us to build change in our communities, and why we get involved in elections at all, and not just the presidential ones either.
Yes, of course, of course. It's so funny because I'm actually leading a meeting for one of our electoral partnerships that we have in the making, especially with our youth and the upcoming elections. It's really unique because we just launched our Detroit PPM cohort this semester. So it's really cool because as this is a really important election that we have coming up, as it is in a local election, we have some very important seats such as our city council, police commissioner, we have our city clerk, and we also have the mayoral election on this upcoming ballot, as well as a few ballot initiatives. And it's really important because unfortunately, even though these are all positions that directly adhere to some of the most prominent issues our community members are experiencing, it's also a election that unfortunately has very low turnout rates. And it makes you think, well, why is it that these very important positions unfortunately don't have as great of a turnout rate? And it's for many of reasons, and one of it being is access to education, and even being aware of what's on the ballot and what each position beholds. And so through our electoral justice arm, we're focusing mainly on Lansing and Detroit, where we're tackling some of the issues that our community members are facing, such as housing, economic justice, education equity. There's still the issue of clean water. Many homes are still experiencing far too great disparities within the resources that they should be getting from our government. And through a lot of our community organizing, we are centering our youth and much of the work that we do by equipping them with the tools and skill set necessary to organize within their respective communities and address not just their own issues, but issues they've stated as being collective issues to their surrounding communities. And more so, providing education just to the masses and understanding the importance of just one, understanding your placement within your community, because we all have very unique gifts and talents that we bring to the table and contribute. And through understanding our own power and community conversation and building relationships, then we're able to advocate and work towards a just and more equitable systems that adhere to issues we're facing every single day. So some of the great things we have planned for this upcoming election would be, we have a our first actually for our Detroit youth, their town hall that they're going to be hosting with the Detroit Commissioner, Nicole Smalls, where she will actually be helping our youth lead in this space and asking some candidates who are running for Detroit City Clerk what they kind of want to ask them and make some demands of these candidates that are running for these very important positions and stating their own opinions and thoughts and even vision for where they would like to see things going forward. Going forward and really just pushing the needle on creating space, not just for youth in general, but for those who are often left outside of the decision making processes, and bringing awareness that people are upset and they're tired of this systematic, racist, supremacist system that we've been operating in for far too long. And so it's time for the new voices to showcase what they've been doing, and you all will definitely get to hear more of the work that they've been doing, but more so as we build out our electoral arm and just building power Michigan wide. People should really just, try to encourage your friends, family, and loved ones to educate yourselves, if nothing, on what's happening around you, and know that you have the power. You will always have power, whether you exercise it or not. You are valuable, and your voices will no longer be continued to be pushed along the wayside, because there is a space, and this is the space. And so we definitely encourage and just spread the word. And this is your home, One Love Global. Even though we are in a few spaces now, we're looking to grow, and we will grow bigger. And you are a part of this family. Everybody watching, everybody who will watch at a later time, we're building a movement. Thank you for joining, and we look forward to building with you.
Thank you, Regine. You brought it full circle, I feel like, at the end, in the way that we really needed to be anchored, because we're not done here yet. I know it's coming. We're coming to the close of the 3 o'clock block now. If you stuck with us, thank you so much. If you're watching this later, thank you so much. You might still have opportunities to win gift cards, so seriously, get in that landmark challenge, right? But like Regine said, our young people have so much power, and they are building the future that they want to see, and they're telling adults to listen to them too. And if you want to hear more about their amazing work, please come back for the 6 p.m. block. If you're getting off work, put up the live stream, right? You're going to hear from our young people in Lansing and Detroit, and also about Freedom Summer. The application is going to be launching, and I know you want to hear details about all of these different things. So come on back, join us again at 6 o'clock. Bring some food if you want it. We're going to have a ton of fun together. You'll see some basketball at some point.
We got goodie bags.
That's right.
We got goodie bags. We got free T-shirts.
So join us again at 6 o'clock. We're so excited to have you back.